I have been hearing that weaning is something that comes up a lot in my free Facebook group, and also something that I get some questions for in my Holistic Baby Dreams course. And so I wanted to just chat a little bit about weaning and really to help you make sure that weaning is the right decision for you and your baby, because this is definitely not a decision that should be made lightly. It is such a common question that I get from a lot of the mamas that I work with. And I find that parents often feel like they need to night wean their babies or toddlers before they tackle weaning during the day, mainly because they think that weaning at night is going to help your baby sleep better and or longer. I know that this is something that sleep trainers are talking about, and your pediatrician has probably told you that if you stop nursing overnight or feeding your baby a bottle overnight, then they will sleep longer. And so, of course, who wouldn't want their baby to sleep longer? We all want that, right? But the truth is that weaning at night may or may not help your baby sleep longer, because sleep really depends on so many other things. And your baby might still wake up at night and they might still need your support to get back to sleep at night. And now, if you've weaned, then you've basically eliminated the one thing that gets them back to sleep easily and fast, right? Um, and so I know that a lot of times you are likely hearing that feeding your baby at every wake or breastfeeding multiple times a night is creating bad habits. And as a result, your baby will never learn how to self soothe. Um, that's a whole separate video, this whole self-soothing thing. I'm sure that I've talked about it in video format before. I'll see if I can link that to this video as well. If not, I will do another video on the self-soothing piece, but I have done a video on infant brains versus adult brains, and that is a big component of the self-soothing piece. So I'm not going to touch on that today. But that is just really realistic and unrealistic and just impractical. I have also heard a myth that by nursing at night, your baby will get cavities, mainly because when you nurse, you're not necessarily brushing your baby's teeth. Once they have teeth, you're not brushing after every feed in the middle of the night. And so I've heard that some pediatricians are scaring and fear mongering moms into thinking that by nursing back to sleep at night, they are going to cause cavities in their babies, which is also not totally true. So, on one side of that piece is that, yes, some people, and babies included, do have softer teeth and have a predisposition to getting cavities. And so, maybe, yes, if you're nursing frequently throughout the night, they might get cavities. That is true. However, most babies and most people don't have this predisposition, nor do they have soft enough teeth to be forming these cavities. And I know hundreds of thousands of moms, myself included, who have fed, nursed throughout the night for many years without any issues of cavities in their baby or toddler's teeth. So that is one of those where you kind of have to assess your specific situation, as with everything else. So your weaning journey, just like everything else in your motherhood journey, is very personal. And remember that we're all different. And so what works for one family is not going to work for the other family. And that's totally fine as well. And one of the things I really want you to think about is, if breastfeeding is working for you and your toddler or your older baby, and you want to keep breastfeeding, then totally fine. Keep doing it. You can nurse them day and night for as long as you want. This is one of the ways to protect that breastfeeding relationship. There's a lot of babies that are waking up even after a year, my daughter included. I think probably my son too, but I don't remember back then. But my daughter was 16 months old when we decided to wean from three feeds down to one. And that's what I was okay with. And then I weaned her completely at 3.5 years of age, both day and night. So, and that was not because she wanted to wean, that was because that was my choice. I was like, I am done. Um, so I just want to make sure that you are sort of really thinking about why you want to wean. And I want to make sure that it is a decision that you are making in a way that feels right in your heart, that feels light, and not something that you are feeling pressured to do. Okay. So babies wake up. That is part of it. Toddlers wake up. That is part of it. And they don't necessarily wake up just for food, but nursing is also not just for food. And formula feeding as well is not just for food, it's also for hydration. Okay. But also, babies wake up at night for comfort, because they're hot or cold, because they're uncomfortable for some reason, because they just woke up and they got a little scared and they want to make sure that their safe person is still there. And by weaning, you're not going to solve those other problems. So they will still continue to wake up for those other problems. So that is the first sort of reason, is really thinking, are you weaning because you think that's going to help your baby to sleep better at night? Because it may or may not. And then I also talked about, are you weaning because you actually want to do it, or because you're feeling pressured by your family, your friends, or even your doctor? And again, that pressure is not a good reason to wean. It can lead to less sleep for everybody involved. It can also lead to mom guilt, which is a very real thing that I've been talking a lot about in my Babies at Play classes this week. But it can also lead to resentment. And so I really want you to think about how night weaning specifically, but also day weaning, is this actually something that you want, or are you feeling pressure to do? The next reason that I often get mamas coming to me for and asking about weaning is, or thinking about weaning, is because they are going to be returning to work. And so, of course, returning to work is going to be a big change in your routine, whether you're going full days or what's going on, whether you're breastfeeding or formula feeding. Um, and it's going to cause some fragmentation, I guess, maybe some regression. I hate the word regression, but it will cause most likely some sleep disturbances initially, just for the sake that it's a change. And the thing with going back to work is that your baby is going to be missing out on spending time with you and connecting with you during the day. And so, if you are thinking that weaning at night is going to mean that you're going to get better sleep so that you can go to work during the day, well, guess what? I have some news for you. Most likely, your baby is actually going to be wanting to be closer to you at night because they've missed out on that connection during the day. And so it's very possible that they're going to actually be waking up more frequently, needing your support more, at least initially, while there's a transition period until that sort of return to work, going to daycare, being home with a nanny, or whatever starts to become familiar and predictable. Your baby or toddler is going to be looking to connect with you at night. And that might be asking to nurse, or needing a bottle, okay? Or being up many times. And the easiest way to get them back to sleep is going to just be to feed them. So this is something else you really want to think about, is, are you making this weaning decision because you're going to be going to back to work and you're thinking, oh, if I just wean my baby or toddler, then they'll sleep through the night, which means that I will sleep through the night, which means that I will be more refreshed during the day when I go back to work. Sometimes it happens like that for those unicorn babies, but more often than not, especially for toddlers, they're going to be looking for that connection at night. Um, that doesn't mean that you can't reduce the feedings and that it won't work, but it's going to take some time. I also, what sometimes happens is that babies, usually around the 5 to 7 month mark, start to become distracted feeders during the day because they're just so curious about all of the things that are going on. And so they actually end up taking less nutrition in during the day from nursing or bottle feeding sessions. And then they make up for that nutrition, that lost nutrition during the day. They make up for it at night when it's calm, it's quiet, it's distraction free. And oh my goodness, they're like so close to you, nice and warm and nuzzled up, right? It's their most favorite place to be. And so Sometimes this is actually what's going on. If your baby is nursing frequently throughout the night, it's because during the day, they're not getting the same amount of calories than they were, or that their body currently needs at the age and activity level that they're at. So that is another reason why sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, I can't take this nursing every 2 hours. Really look at what's going on during the day. And is your baby getting good nutrition during the day before you start to do some weaning at night? And trust me, I have been there too. Waking up every 2 hours to nurse or feed your baby is not fun, and I can totally sympathize and empathize with wanting to make longer chunks between those feedings, especially if you're getting up to prepare bottles, which just takes a little bit more of that awakeness from you. Um, the other thing I often get questions about, or I see that mamas are thinking, is that, oh, I have to wean my toddler because I want to get pregnant again. And this is often a big misconception that breastfeeding is going to offer some contraceptive magical capabilities. And that you're thinking that if you're breastfeeding, you're not going to be fertile. Well, first of all, that's wrong. That has been proven wrong by thousands of mamas all over the world. Um, they're getting pregnant each year. When sometimes I've heard mamas where they got pregnant accidentally with their second when their first one was only like 4 or 5 months old. And they had that misconception, oh, because I'm exclusively breastfeeding, and I haven't gotten my period back, then I'm not, I'm not fertile or I can't get pregnant. Um, and so you have this misconception that if you're breastfeeding, your period is not going to be coming back and you won't be fertile. So this happened to me too. Not that I got pregnant with my second when my youngest was little, but I was still nursing my toddler when I got pregnant with my second. And I mean, with both my kids, so TMI here, but with both my kids, I got my period back right around the 5 or 6 month mark, and I was exclusively breastfeeding. Um, and I actually noticed with my second that I could really tell all the different stages of my cycle so much more vividly when I was trying to get pregnant with my second than I had with my first. So it's almost like my body knew what to do and became even more fertile, even though I was still nursing. So I just want you to remember that every human is unique. Every woman is unique. And one person's fertility might be impacted by breastfeeding, but another one's may not. And so, some I've heard also where sometimes people don't regain their fertility until they've totally, completely stopped breastfeeding. So you don't really ever know. So you're going to have to kind of just see what works best for your body, but that's not necessarily the reason to wean unless you're absolutely sure that your fertility is being affected by that. Um, so that is it. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do have a heart-centered weaning guide that takes you through how to wean your older baby or toddler in a very sort of gentle, heart-centered, responsive way. So I have posted the link for that below this video. If you have any more questions, I would love to hear from you. But I would also love to hear in the comments below whether you have had a weaning experience yet and how that went and how old your babies were and what that looked like for you. So feel free to comment and let's chat about all of that, because I think this is such an interesting topic and I really like to have this conversation back and forth so that mamas can really see from so many different people that weaning looks different for every family. So anyway, that's it. Have a wonderful Wednesday and I will talk to you all soon. Bye for now.